Welcome in, everybody. It is the Mountaineers Now postgame show presented by Country Roads Air Duct Cleaning. Take me home to comfort. I'm Schuyler, Callihan, and joining me live from the WVU Coliseum is Christopher Hall. West Virginia gets back in the win column after a two-game losing streak on the road to UCF and Oklahoma State. They beat the old Big East rivals Cincinnati Bearcats tonight, 69-65. And as always, a quick look here at the numbers. Quinn Slazinski had 15 points and 5 boards. Jesse Edwards, the story of the night, though, in his second game back, he goes 11 for 17 from the field, records a double-double, 25 points, 10 rebounds, was just an absolute force for the Mountaineers. And really, Chris, the one stat that really kind of stood out to me was the lack of three-point attempts. This has been a team that's kind of fallen in love with the three. Whether that's a good thing or not, it depends on a nightly basis, but only 11 attempts tonight. They were more selective from the field, and it ended up paying off because they were more efficient. I think they were 5 of 11, but they seemed to really fall in love with getting Jesse Edwards the ball, and that's, I guess, a good thing to do whenever he's hot like that.
Yeah, keep feeding Jesse. I don't have to hit threes when Jesse is right there at the rim at 7 foot. Definitely seems like he's back. See how sore he is coming in this Saturday, but looked like the old Jesse tonight. I think one of the biggest stats that stuck out to me was 22 points off turnovers. They only forced 13 Cincinnati turnovers, got 22 points off them, and I mean that'll kind of negate your rebounding when you can take advantage of those extra possessions. We talk about getting those extra possessions a lot, whether it's offensive rebounds or creating turnovers. And they didn't create a high amount of turnovers, but they made him pay for it. I mean, that's only like two field goals off from scoring on every single turnover. So I think that was one of the biggest stats that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, about half of their shots came from three. They were 9 of 32 from on the day. Very odd shooting day for them. Obviously, their big men couldn't get going. You could credit Jesse Edwards for that, and also some of the team defense that they just had going on. But
Jesse had 4 blocks. I mean, he changed a lot of shots in that first half and made him scared. And that's what a big man will do for you in the middle. They'll stop driving the ball. They'll be hesitant to even pull up from those little range jumpers. So a lot of that is just credit to Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal. Really, both ends of the floor. Cincinnati obviously had 15 more shot attempts from the field. So that just goes to show right there how much better the defense has been. And really the last 3 games, I think you go back to the UCF game, they allow 72 on the road. They allow 70 at Oklahoma State, 65 tonight. It's starting to feel like they're kind of figuring things out on that end of the floor.
Yeah, communication is key defensively, and you're seeing a lot more communication happening on the back end, especially from the front court. And that's going to help those guards out a lot to avoid those screens and stay up on the ball. If you can cut down those passing lanes, and we saw how many times did we talk about West Virginia just playing ISO. Cincinnati kind of had to do that a lot themselves tonight from good defense and cutting off the passing lane. So it's not just about guarding the ball; it's guarding off the ball, and they're getting better at it. And these guys are just now playing together for only the second game that they had the entire lineup together. And most of those guys have played together, so you're starting to see that team chemistry. And with Jesse, he's so big and long that he's going to create mismatch problems for everybody in this conference. So good to see his wrist. You could see it on Saturday, even when he was playing defense away from the ball, that he was favoring that wrist. We talked about it, and tonight you didn't see that nearly as much. So he's definitely getting his strength back. It's not hurting him as much, and hopefully he's not sore going into Saturday, because but probably going to need him to step out a little bit against BYU. Man, they make a ton of threes. They lead the Big 12 in threes made per game at 12. That's a pretty wide margin at 3 too.
Yeah, they didn't even take that many tonight. West Virginia did. So, but yeah, I mean, this game was 60-50 with 6.5 minutes to go. And I think you got to credit the players and also Josh Schuyler, because, I mean, when you're 7-13 and you're down 10 points at home, and it just feels like every time you feel like you're in a game and something starts to go wrong, it's easy to hang your head. And I think that tonight was a good example of there's a lot of fight still left in this team. And even though we've talked about it almost every post game, the NCAA tournament's well out of reach at this point, unless they win the conference tournament. But at least it shows
You
that
went
these guys
out.
are still together.
You went out. You're looking really good in conference.
Yeah.
This isn't done by computers. Committee's going to understand. We kind of talked about Cincinnati's. Talking to some other folks earlier about Cincinnati's tournament. Like this is a bad loss. I'm like, it's really not. Like when you
It's the
look at it,
first full
any
game.
loss in Morgantown is not really considered a bad loss. Technically, it's quad 3, but it's not a bad loss in Morgantown, especially now that they have the whole team. So it's different. I know they take the whole resume now. They really used to consider the last 10 games, but if West Virginia would go on a run and win, these last 10 games or so, like go 8 of 10, like all of a sudden, I mean, there's probably some ranked wins in there and you have a full roster. Good thing to have the human element there, I think. If you're West Virginia, but I mean, that's a long way to go. It's neither here nor
Yeah.
there. They got
One at a time
a
here.
long
One
way
at
to
a time.
go, but when you see that confidence, they stayed the course. With 6.5
Yeah.
minutes left, down 10, and they stacked stops. They just stacked stops, so they know they can do it. It's another confidence builder. And talked about that loss to Oklahoma State where they were right there. They got the good start, or not necessarily a good start, but they matched the energy early, so they didn't get in that big deficit, and they were able to hang it in the game late, where they didn't have to try to make a second half comeback. So they were in the game the whole time, lost control a little bit, and then got it back. That's huge going forward.
Yeah, they just need to figure out how to carry that with them when they get on the bus, head to the airport, and go, whether it's to Orlando or Stillwater, wherever the heck they're going, because this team has just not found a way to win on the road. They haven't done it yet this year. They have not won a single game outside of Morgantown, and they're going to have to. Obviously, if they want to have that miraculous run towards the end of the season, they're going to have to do that. Lastly, I do want to talk about Kirk Creesa, 10 points, 7 assists, and also actually Raekwon Battle, because I think he doesn't get enough love here. He was only 2 of 6. I mean, 6 shot attempts for Raekwon. I mean, he can rack those 6 shots up in 4 minutes in any night. But he was really selective tonight, and I think he just kind of had a good feel for the game. He realized, hey, this is not a game where I'm going to be able to go out and get 30 points. I'm going to get my teammates involved and do whatever I need to do to keep my team in it, and he did that. I mean, he had a really good on ball defender on him all night too.
Yeah, +5 assist to turnover as well. So Quinn Slazinski should probably get a little bit of love as well. I think he had 15 points if I'm not mistaken. So there's when you have to win these games, especially in the Big 12, you need contributors from everybody. And it seems like you're kind of getting it. You had all those starts coming in the season, and now they're all contributing. And I think another stat needs pointed out is every starter was positive in the plus minus. We'd have to go back and look, but I think it's definitely the first time in Big 12 play.
Yeah.
Probably have to go back at the beginning of the season to probably see that stat. And I doubt you would, because they're still trying to find their way with 7 scholarship players at the time.
Yeah. So West Virginia again finally gets back in the win column, and for Cincinnati, I mean, they're playing good basketball. You can tell they're competitive. I think a little bit further along than many people probably expected them in their first year, but they haven't won on the road in the Big 12 against a old Big 12 member or original Big 12 member, I believe. So they've got to figure that out too. But hey, West Virginia's been in the league for how many years now?
At
They've always had
BYU's
road
no
struggles.
at BYU's no picnic. That was a
Yeah.
huge win. I think they won by 11 as well. So that was a big win.
Yeah, it definitely was. And BYU will be visiting Morgantown this Saturday. That one will tip off at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. We'll have all the game day coverage leading up to the game, and then also our Mountaineers Now post game show to wrap things up, potentially talking about another top 25 win for the Mountaineers. They're 2-0 in WVU Coliseum against top 25 opponents here in the last 2 weeks. See if they make it a third in as many weeks. So,
Can they handle success? It's always a
yes,
theme with West
yeah,
Virginia. Can they handle the success tonight? Carry it into Saturday.
got a few days to rest and get back at it against the Cougars on Saturday. So West Virginia winning 69-65 against Cincinnati tonight. And we'll be back on Saturday to wrap up things with West Virginia and BYU. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Mountaineers Now. Give us a like and a follow on X at the same handle. For Christopher Hall, I'm Schuyler Callihan. You've been watching the Mountaineers Now postgame show presented by Country Roads Air Duct Cleaning.